first up is Nigel, and he's going to just talk about the Bedford property market. Now, obviously Nigel is going to have to do a bit of a Chris Whitty and tell me when to change the slides over. So if you just bear with us, you think we've been doing this for a year, you think we know what we're doing by now, but just bear with me while I just get on to the next slide. Are you ready to go, Nige?
Yeah, that's fine. Ready when you are. So that's great. Thank you.
Right, over to you then.
Excellent. Okay, good evening, everybody. I hope you're all well and enjoying this nice sunny evening here in Bedford anyway. So let's make the most. But anyway, yeah, just really to start with, it's just a question of giving a brief overview of the market in terms of, you know, what's been going on. Quite clearly, we've got a very, what we call turbocharged property market at the moment. Since the property market reopened in May 2020, things have gone on to quite a rate, for want of a better word. Looking back over time, the whole property market in Bedford and much of the country was pretty much suppressed. Has been suppressed since the Brexit vote back in 2016. Things have just bubbled along. There's been a couple of areas in the country that have had some strong growth, others that have not had strong growth. So it's pretty much gone on an even keel. Of course, then along came COVID, which sort of put a damper on it further. So I think normally what we probably would have seen at the beginning of 2020 would have been seen a recovery of the housing market and things to uplift. But of course, that was dampened down until May when we reopened. Now, on the graph, you can see when the housing market reopened, there was an initial uplift, okay, which, you know, was showing some good signs of recovery for the overall sort of state of things. However, the government, in their wisdom, decided to introduce a stamp duty incentive in July 2020. Now, there's lots of estate agents that are rubbing their hands with glee because that turbocharged the whole market. So you can see that it's really kicked on, and with the index on here is actually showing how high the market has gone. As the text says, there's been a 36% increase in the housing market since the start of 2021. So, you know, and it's likely that with the spring after Easter, it's going to kick on further. So the only issue we've got is that supply side is having trouble keeping up with the market and the demand that's there. So just to give you an idea of what the effect that's had, the Office of National Statistics issued some figures out yesterday that showed that UK housing prices year on year are up 7.5%. So if you thought you'd saving some money with a stamp duty, that's pretty much been wiped out. So, you know, and that figure is actually down from December, because December it was 8%. So you can see that, you know, there's an upward pressure on prices because of the next point, which is the lack of supply. So can you go on to the next slide, please, Zoe? Okay, so you can see that the lockdown has exacerbated the problem, because there's been many people that have wanted to come on the market or be keen to get moved and whatnot, but there's simply not the properties coming onto the market to actually fulfill that demand. So, you know, we're seeing locally, we're seeing the strongest demand really is for 3-bedroom houses. We're sort of, since lockdown 1, there's been a move away from flats as such, because we've wanted to decentralize as a country. That, you know, if you go to a lot of the portals, I'll say some of the biggest things that people are looking for are like gardens and outside space and extra rooms, all these sort of things. So you can see that there's an impact on the overall structure of the property market. So we're becoming decentralized. Now, I'm sure, you know, a lot of it is driven by London. Now, London is you know, has basically seen a lot of prices falling in that sort of area, and that's simply because people that I think are coming out of London and buying into the surrounding counties, the areas around the capital, and some of those are moving out further. So places like, I know the Lake District is having a real boom, as is, I'm sure, places like Cornwall, Wales, all those sort of places are really seeing a demand for properties, and the prices there are probably going up considerably. So if you're an agent in those areas, it's really good for them. So can you go on to the next slide, please, Zoe?
Yep.
So to reflect that on a sort of local level, I started tracking the overall supply of properties in Bedford back in August, because I could see that there was an issue that was developing. Now, normally in a normal market, whatever's normal is nowadays, there's around about 800 to 900 properties in Bedford on the market at any given time, and that normally has a split of, say, 75 houses, 25% flats. But we're seeing that really being squashed down. At the moment, there's less than 400 properties in total on the market. So the supply there is not keeping up with demand, you see. And the split on that is changing as well, because of what I said about flats. Because people aren't looking for flats, they're looking for houses in more space. The flats aren't shifting as quickly as the houses. So we're seeing the whole market being squashed down. The flats are staying fairly static. They're still around about just under 200, but the split is now more or less 50-50. You see, and as I said, the lockdown has changed people's aspirations. They're moving from the rural, from the urban sort of sprawl and being in the centre of things, and they want to come out into more rural areas, to take advantage of the gardens, the outside space, and the likes of working from home and internet connection are also very important factors for people. So, okay, so that's pretty much where we are, in terms of the supply side of things, and obviously the demand side of things. Now, in terms of opportunities for if you're looking to get into rentals, and there's going to be opportunities coming. Well, there are now, because there's certainly a good supply of flats on the market. Yeah. In the short term, the prices for those will start to decline, I think, because obviously the more flats on the market, the less demand there is, prices will start to drop. But we'll see how that pans out in the next sort of few weeks, really, because obviously once we come out after Easter, that's when we're going to see the market kick on. So we'll see what happens with that. Historically, flats and rental properties have also appealed to the under 25s as well. So you've got that whole demographic of people, they're the ones that have been most hit by the effects of the pandemic. There was an article on The Guardian yesterday, again, was quoting figures from the INS, which said that 2/3 of the people that have lost their jobs under the pandemic are under 25s. Now that is, quite a chunk of people that are, struggling through this, and they're the ones that are going to be renting flats and going to be more centralized. So invariably people like that are going to move out the areas, probably are back home with parents, that sort of thing, on a temporary measure, but we're going to see them come back, and they will come back. So I think the whole decentralization, or the exodus from the urban areas, is going to be a fairly short to medium term phenomena, because once we're out of this mess, as we return back to normality, I think the younger people are going to want to be back into the centre of things, and because they have much more of a social life. But we'll see how that develops. So as I said, the demand is very strong. So if you're looking to buy, then obviously flats is a place to go to. I wouldn't even entertain trying to buy a house at the moment, because you'll be in a queue of many to try and buy, say, a 3-bedroom house or something, and those sort of sizes. But in the medium term, they might come back as well, because obviously once the government measures have waved a little bit, obviously then the pressure will come back onto people to the furlough relief and various schemes that the government are running, that as soon as they come out, then it's going to be interesting to see what will happen in the long term to unemployment levels and people's own wealth, effectively. So, but that's that's pretty much where we are in terms of the market. There's still a lot to be done, but if you're looking to buy, then obviously flats is the area to explore, because you can possibly get some at a reasonable price. If you're looking to sell, I certainly wouldn't sell a flat at the moment, because you're not going to get a particularly good return on that, and you're not going to look at realistically sell it very easily, but in the long term, you know, it might come back to help you on that. So, but there you go. So that's me. Thank you very much.